Hello and welcome back to another. Yes, Ash, we are going live. Welcome back to another episode of the Paranormal Roundtable. This is May's edition, following on from last month's. Just seemed to be only like last week, it feels like. And as ever, we are joined by Mike Earl, Paramike.
Hello.
And Michaela Ford, Paranormal or What podcast, and all-round children's book writer.
Wannabe. Hello.
And magazine article writer as well.
Yes, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I've got more than one string to my bow. Who knew?
Yeah. No, Ash has even got the poster up in the background.
So it doesn't fall on him this time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's never been down before or since on the podcast. Weird. Yeah. How are we all? Are we all okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
So last month we did have quite a long agenda to get through. We didn't get through hardly anything really. So the rest of the agenda we're not going to cover off. We're going to crack on with new stuff. So we're going to be talking about big cats in the UK. We're going to be talking Cannock Chase. We're going to be talking Night at the Museum. Michael.
Not the movie.
Edition. Not the movie. Wow. Maybe it should be.
Some people say I do look a lot like Ben Stiller, but yeah.
Mike at the Museum.
Stop that. I can stop that.
We're going comedy. And we were going to talk about something else after that, and I cannot for the life of me remember what it was. But shall we kick off with big cats? So this is something that Michaela has got an interest in. So did you want to kick us off, Michaela?
Yeah, well, it's been very interesting this week because there have been quite a lot of news articles about saying that DNA tests have discovered that there is proof that big cats are on the prowl in the British countryside. Apparently, DNA from a black hare caught on a barbed wire fence following a sheep attack has offered definitive proof big cats are roaming the British countryside. Unfortunately, it doesn't really say which big cats. I don't know if anybody else has heard big panther type cats, apparently. Has anybody else seen or heard these stories?
Not recently, but as I was growing up, there used to be quite a spate of big cat sightings on like the moors. And there was always these long lens, blurry photograph. Beast of Bodmin, yeah, that's it. And there was always good photos, but they were quite like photographed from quite a long distance that you could, when they zoomed in, you couldn't quite get the context of how big this thing was. So it always looked like a big, normal domesticated cat, like a big version, but you could never really tell. But it's always fascinating. I don't see why there wouldn't be, because you've got some of these animal parks, and I'm sure some of them have gone missing.
Yeah, I think there wasn't the Big Cat Act sometime in the 1970s or 80s, where it became illegal for people to keep these big animals, and a lot of people just turf them out. Yeah. But it's really hit the news this last week. In fact, this DNA test news only came out last week.
Okay, I'd not even seen that in the news.
I've seen the articles about it. It's interesting because I think I talked about it before on podcast. My own big cat sighting a few years ago. I don't know if I told you, Michaela, about it in the past. I'm not sure if I did or not.
No, I don't think you did. What was that?
So my one, I used to work in a casino. So I'd regularly be finishing work in the middle of the night driving home. And it was a Sunday morning. I just finished work about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm driving home, just crossing the M62 at Birchwood for Warrington, for those that know the area. So I'm driving down, it's like 50-mile-an-hour road, no traffic, it's Sunday morning, 4 o'clock, there's nothing else about, it's dark, but there's sort of street lights further down, past one of the roundabouts. As I'm getting close to the roundabout, I see, I can't really describe it as anything else apart from a big cat. Like it was just stood in the middle of the road, like lengthways, it's like side on.
Yeah.
And then as I got closer to it, it just sauntered off to the side of the road into some bushes at the side of the road. And like it had to walk like a cat walks, but it was like a large dog size cat. That's the only way I can describe it. All black.
Wow.
A
And it
large
just-
dog-sized cat.
that's another way to describe it, really. But it's definitely a cat by the way it walks and the tail that came down. And it just went off into the bushes at the side of the road as I got closer to it. And I pulled over, like a little lay-by further on. I was like, hell? And I literally texted my partner. And I just texted the time and the road I was on, so I could go back to it and knew what time it was when I saw it. And then I was parked up and I was messaging saying I just saw this to remind myself later on when I woke up and stuff, make sure I wasn't dreaming. And I got a bit freaked out because it's like I'm on this road, it's dark, there's no bugger else around, it's pitch black. Like, turn your headlights off, it's like pitch black. I was like, I just got that feeling. I'm like, I'm a bit freaked out now. So just turned the engine back on, just drove home. And I kind of forgot about it, and like sort of it happened, and then a couple of days later, I kind of forgot about it. It's only probably about 6-7 months later. My brother was around at our house with his partner, and they were talking about sort of paranormal stuff, and they mentioned big cats. And I just remember, it's like, geez, I saw a big cat. Told them the story. Hadn't even thought about it. I told them the story. Went through my messages. So like, yeah, it was on this day at this time. And then I just googled and just put in big cats Warrington, and there's loads of news articles in that area, Birchwood. Like,
Wow.
There's been multiple sightings over the years of a big black cat creature all in this area. And then I actually went back to where I saw it and like walking in the woods looking for any sign of where there could be like a habitat or anything, because there's lots of woods around there. Never found anything since, but yeah. And in not just like Warrington, but like Chester, Northwest, Ellesmere Port, North Wales, there's lots of sightings. So it seems to be in the papers all the time. So it's just definitely
Yeah.
something to it.
And the thing is, as well, that there has to be mating pairs. There has to have been. It can't be the same like 90-year-old cat staggering around. So that's a bit freaky to think there must be enough of them for them to be pairing up.
Mm.
So it's like, how many are there? There might be hundreds for all we know. And there were some caught in Scotland as well, weren't there? Previously.
And I suspect Scotland's quite a good place for them because it's quite uninhabited. So the likelihood of them being sort of caught in numbers is probably quite a distinct rarity. And the fact that on those kind of places you've got deer and other wild animals that are probably big enough to sustain a wild jaguar or black panther or something like that. Because all the ones I remember seeing in the photos were always like black panther kind of ones. So whether or not they are just literally black panthers or just dark coloured, but they all seem to be that kind of sort of size, I think. So what do you think it is then, Michaela? What do you think they are?
Well, I think they are black panthers. I don't know if that's a correct term. I don't know my cat species very well, but I do think it is. I don't see any reason why it can't be. It's not fantastical, really. It's perfectly possible. So yeah, I think they're definitely out there, and I love the fact that they're called alien big cats.
Big cats.
Yeah, just because they're not in the place where they should be, if you know what I mean. But it just gives them a bit of a supernatural take, doesn't it?
But it is strange that there hasn't sort of been one caught.
But there have, apparently, in Scotland.
Oh.
If I could go back, talk amongst yourselves for a second.
Mike, while Michaela's having a look, what are your thoughts on big cats?
It's a tough one. I think because it goes back to the 50s and 60s with the Beast of Bodmin. Maybe that was like one of the really early ones, and there'd have to be for there to be big cat sightings nowadays. There would have to be multiple of the same species of cat released, so they would be breeding in the wild.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's entirely possible, right? And my other thought is, say, like if a zoo or a wildlife park were to lose one, do you really think they'd they'd tell people and be like, by the way, tiger escaped the other week? Or would you just like keep it under your hat and go, we'll not say a word about that to not put fear into people? I don't know.
So unfortunately, the king lion passed away last night. Oops.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
It's
I
just gone
see,
missing.
You can't.
He's gone missing.
Where
Sorry,
can he
he's
be?
Can't see the body. Sorry.
Yeah, we fed it to the other animals.
Yeah. It's entirely possible because, like you say, why would you even announce that you've lost one?
I know.
You
And you
imagine,
can
like,
kind of see it. Yeah, you can see it.
you
happening as
imagine
well.
how much hysteria that would cause if you were like, oh, by the way, it's all right. It's a
Don't go
male lion.
outside.
They don't do any hunting.
It's all right. Longleat, I've got more. Don't worry. That's what I mean. I've been in that. I've been in
Side-
that drive-through.
Side note,
Longleat.
Side note,
It's
Longleat's
quite
fucking
scary.
sick.
You sat there going, there's only a very, very thin piece of metal and glass between me and this huge, enormous tribe of killers.
But
That's enough about me.
This is slightly off topic, but have you seen that clip where I think it's a wildlife park in China and one of the people gets out of the car to try and get a better photo of a tiger?
Yes.
That just does not end well.
No.
Oh,
No.
dear.
Why would you ever?
Some
that's
people.
made me
I've
go
seen it.
funny.
It's mad,
I've seen
isn't it?
that. Yeah, she just gets out, doesn't she? And the guy sort of tries to get out to sort of stop her. It's like,
To save her, yeah, she's gone.
yeah,
Oh
she's
my
not coming
God.
back. Yeah. So whatever you
Camera
do,
and all.
don't get out of your car. Yeah. Don't get out. It's caught on CCTV of her getting out. Fucking hell. Mental.
Yeah, madness, isn't it?
That's
So
outrageous.
back to you, Michaela.
I did
Yeah.
find the report. It's not as exciting as I remember, but anyway, in 1980, a puma was captured in Inverness Shire in Scotland. It was captured following several years of sightings in the area of a big cat matching the description of the one captured, strangely enough.
Wow.
It had led local farmer Ted Noble to erect a cage trap, and he caught it.
Wow.
Fair play.
Yeah. Fair play to him.
Then it was bundled off to a zoo, I think.
To
The
escape
same one it
again,
escaped from.
never be spoken about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the
Shh, never
secret
happened.
puma that we've been keeping behind for everyone.
You know, we said he was dead. He's back.
Side note again, going back to China. Do you remember that story years ago when they apparently had a lion and it wasn't? It was just a dog with like shaved to look like a lion, and then they figured out it wasn't a lion when it barked.
Oh my goodness.
God. Oh, God. So our consensus on the big cats is it's likely it is big cats like pumas or
Yeah, I mean,
jaguar or
there's
something.
been quite a few other like ones where they've been captured. In 1991, a Eurasian lynx was shot near Norfolk. After it killed.
They're not huge though, are they?
I don't
Eurasian
know.
lynxes. They're not like on a puma panther scale, I don't think.
Let's have a look. But that had killed 15 sheep in the previous 2 weeks. So
Jeez.
obviously being a pain for the farmers. And then they're getting shot, killed.
Yeah.
In 1996, in Northern Ireland, a caracal, right, that's a smaller size, and one in, where is it? It says a jungle cat. I'm not sure what a jungle cat is. That was in Hampshire. That was hit by a car.
Wow.
Oh dear, that's
The
unfortunate.
car was a write-off, I expect.
Wow. Yeah, I've just found some in the Daily Record, Scotland Now. There's a big cat expert who has mapped out over 850 sightings of big cats over the UK.
Ooh.
To
So
be
if there's
fair-
big cats, sorry, Mike, you crack on.
I was just googling Eurasian lynx to see if I was right or wrong. They look like they're probably about mountain lion cougar size.
Oh
So
wow, so they're big
could
enough.
probably do some damage. Yeah, they're not huge like lions or tigers, but they're sort of bigger than
A big cat.
a big cat. Yeah, bigger than a domestic house cat. Yeah,
Those little bloody cats are vicious things. I fucking hate them.
horrendous, aren't they?
Yeah. So I can see why the bigger cats are even worse.
And in 2001, another Eurasian lynx, nicknamed the Beast of Barnet, was captured alive by police in North London. And then
Wow.
gave it to London Zoo.
Wow. Give it back to London Zoo.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
It was only 18 months old.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Oh, wow.
So yeah, like you say, Michelle. Why do I keep saying Michelle? I say it twice now. Michaela. Yeah, the breeding, obviously, you're going to have family units and stuff, and some habitats around somewhere. Especially like in North London, it's quite you think it'd be quite populated in Barnet.
Yeah. Well, there's meant to be still quite a big black market trade in exotic animals, isn't there? People are constantly finding pythons in their toilet and goodness knows what. Now, that would be a shock, wouldn't it? But it has
Slightly.
happened quite a lot of times where people have lifted their toilet lid and they've gone through the pipes because they've been set free, and there's a snake curled up in the toilet.
Can't think of anything worse.
Bite your bottom when you go into the loo.
I know something worse than that, Mike. Because I was reading something earlier today or yesterday about castles, and like when they would siege a castle, because the toilets in the castles would be like just like
on the side, wouldn't they?
And then the sort of the drain would just like come down the castle, and then pour water down to flush the poo away. When they're being sieged, they would like climb up these sort of poo exits. And
climb through the toilets.
And then like I have like some famous people like kings and stuff have been sat on the toilet. The next minute, just get weapon up
sword up the
underneath
arse.
the toilet.
That's
how they would like get into the castles.
Whoa.
So
grim.
snakes or men with poles in your toilets.
Yeah, but which one's more likely nowadays? So what toilets you go into to have like...
Well, no comment.
Anyway, so moving on. So we're going to move over to, I'm assuming this relates to a video you sent me as well, Mike, in the week. The night at the Mike at the museum. So you had an investigation recently, and it's over to you. What happened? Where did you go?
So, for a bit more context, we basically went up north last week to York because I'm obsessed with York for my partner's birthday, and then on the way down, we were looking for a ghost hunt to do. We happened across the Haunted Museum in Stoke. Now, the Haunted Museum in Stoke is apparently the 6th most haunted place in the UK, according to Higgy Pop. And I was like, okay, sure, whatever. But it seemed like a really cool place, really unique place. And I'd seen bits on Facebook about it, where he's got like a haunted doll that moves by itself. And Craig, the guy who owns the museum, had been on like This Morning and various other TV programs with some of the artifacts he's got there. So we're like, okay, yeah, cool. Let's go and do an investigation. Private hired it because apparently that's the only way you're allowed to film. It's whatever. At least we got the place to ourselves, essentially, right? So there's no fuckery from anyone else who's in the building, especially not on a public event. And yeah, we turned up and Craig was like the nicest dude. Super knowledgeable about all his stuff. He told us one of the big questions I had going into it was, is it that the building's haunted, or is it that all the haunted items that he's crammed in there has caused the building to be haunted? Basically what he told us was the building, I can't talk tonight, sorry. The building had a history of murders in there, essentially. Multiple murders from what we read and what we sort of looked up afterwards, and what Craig told us was true. And then on top of that, he's filled it full of stuff like there's a piano and a piano stool where a woman died while she was playing a piano. There's a Tibetan beheading sword that had been used multiple times, barbed wire from World War One, a stone from Boleskine House, which was Aleister Crowley's house up in Scotland that burnt down. Coal from 30s Drive, to which I said to Craig, "You're not supposed to have that." Yeah, loads of stuff, just like all weird stuff. He's got a room that's done up like a morgue with like an actual morgue tray and a used autopsy kit. Loads of stuff in there. It's got like deaths relating to it. He's just got in some of Ed and Lorraine Warren's personal items, which is like, apparently they're very sought after and quite mad that he's got them. He's got like one room's done up like an old Victorian seance room with a burned doll, which apparently was in a house fire where someone died, and by happenstance someone was coming out of the building with this burned doll, and their neighbour who knew Craig was like, "Oh, I'll take that off you if you're going to bin it," and sent it to him. So there's like this burnt up doll and stuff, but basically fucking loads of stuff that's got death related to it. And like different themed rooms. Like he's got like a chapel room with 2 pews and like what's the big pillar at the front called? Someone who's into religion, which is probably none of us. So previous conversations.
Pulpit.
Podium thing. Yeah.
Altar.
2 pews, altar at the front, or pulpit, whatever. I think the thing that the person stands behind with the Bible on and goes blah blah blah. And he's built like a mini confession booth in there as well. To which I'd seen a video on YouTube where he was, bearing in mind he owns the museum, he was like, "You can go in there and do some investigation. I'll be honest with you, it's not for me, so I don't go in there." And I was like, that's fucking weird that the dude who owns the museum and is around it all the time is freaked out of that place. So I actually asked him, I was like, "So what's the crack with that?" He goes, "It's when we first started the museum, and he went in one side and his partner went in the other. And he said, I was trying to give it Billy Big Bollocks." And I can't remember what he actually said, but it was something to the effect of like, "Can you come and force my partner to confess?" or something. It was something like slightly antagonizing. And in his words, there's no doors in the place. It's all curtains, essentially. In his words, the curtain swung open and it's almost as if something rushed him while he was in there. And from that moment, he was like, "Fucking no thanks." The last room's got a doctor's bag with a bunch of like the doctor's equipment in it, a straitjacket, and in the corner there's a padded cell made up as well, and you can go and like get in the straitjacket and do an Estes method while in there. But yeah, he's got loads of mad shit, and we were just like, fuck me, even if we were going to have a boring night and nothing happened, it was fascinating that the amount of stuff he's got his hands on, and some of it's just like kind of disgusting that it's related to so much death and stuff. But yeah, anyway, we started investigating. We started in the seance room and I tried my mediumship, whatever you want to call it, and got some names through which were apparently relevant to that room, which was quite fun.
Okay.
But there wasn't really anything that happened in terms of anything moving or activity or anything like that. We then went into the main room, which has got like, he calls it the Conjuring Corner, because part of the room's done up like the Conjuring 2 movie with like the cross wallpaper, a chair and an old TV and stuff.
Nice.
And we set up some devices on the stairs, namely a vibration sensor, some cat balls, and a REM pod. And while we're sat there just talking and doing a bit of calling out, we start to hear footsteps upstairs. Bearing in mind, we're the only 2 people in this building. Craig and his girlfriend are there, but they're in the front office, nowhere near us. And he was like, "I'm going to be doing paperwork, so I'm going to be quiet all night." And his partner was just sat there listening to music on a sofa as well, quiet. So we're downstairs calling out, and we start to hear footsteps upstairs. We both look, and Patsy goes, "If that's you up there, can you do it again for us? Or can you make another noise?" And there's a couple of moments of silence, and then a humongous fucking bang from above us, just like boom. So heavy it sets off my footstep vibration sensor on the stairs, which never fucking goes off. And we kind of figured out what our response is in terms of fight, flight, or freeze, because we just fucking froze and looked at each other like, we can't believe that's just happened. And then I had a bit of a... I was lost for words. And you'll see this in the clip when I release the video, but I was like...
Is that the bit you sent me?
Yeah, I'm like, that was so loud. And then I sort of stand up, grab the camera and go, that was so loud, it set the motion sensor off, which I was shocked at because that never happens. And Patsy goes to me, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, it scared the fuck out of me." And she's like, "Yeah, it scared the shit out of me as well." Now, fortunately, in the 2 clips you've seen, Greg, the place is rigged up with CCTV. So if anything happens, you can take like a time, just look at the time and go, "Oh, it's midnight, or whatever." And then you can go and speak to Craig, the owner, and go, "Something's just happened. Can you check it back on CCTV?" Now, I had a locked off camera upstairs, and our initial thought, and Patsy's was, has the camera just gone over? Bearing in mind it's on a tripod, so it's pretty sturdy, but has it gone over? Which, to be fair, probably would have been pretty fucking mental if it had, because there's no way unless something physically pushed it. So we went and checked. He comes in and shows us the clip, or we go and look at the cameras. My tripod's still standing. He goes back through it, and there's the clip downstairs of me and Patsy talking and shitting ourselves, that you can hear it. And then there's the clip upstairs where you can hear it as well, and it's so loud. And he was like, you can hear it on all the cameras upstairs. As much as I don't believe in orbs, dust, light anomalies, whatever you want to call them, after it happens, and this is the only orb in the clip, one of them sort of comes out from underneath a table in a room and floats up into the air. And then there's this weird whoosh that sort of goes up next to it. So that was like, from that point, this was real. We'd been investigating like an hour tops. And that's happened. So we were both pretty on edge, and Patsy doesn't particularly like investigating when it's just us two, because she's all like safety in numbers and wants more people there for whatever reason. And it also means that I can't go off and do like the Estes method or go and do lone vigils, because she doesn't want to be left alone. But yeah, we go upstairs. And we're doing a bit more calling out. Or I went to the toilet, and in front of the toilet there's like a shower curtain, essentially, in the morgue area. I suppose it's supposed to look like a morgue curtain. But I've gone to the toilet, come back out, close that, and we're stood there doing calling out, and we can hear the shower curtain fucking moving a little bit as we're in the room. And I'm like, there's no doors in this place. All of the windows are sealed up, so there's no chance of drafts or anything. And we can hear it as if it's like very slightly being moved back and forth. So we call out a little bit, and there's a moment in my footage where my air pressure sensor goes off, so like registers that something's happened. Air pressure seems to change all the time, so that's not necessarily paranormal, although sometimes it does seem to correlate with the Alice box. It'll go off at the same time as a word comes through. Also, the Alice box went fucking mental in there and was spitting out words every like 5 seconds, but almost none of it was relevant. Anyway, air pressure sensor goes off. As it does, the light upstairs flickers, and there's like a low thud in the room with us. Then later on, the light upstairs flickers again, and this is when Patsy goes, "Can we get out of there?" Because she doesn't want to be up there. It's freaking her out too much. So we went downstairs and said, like, just like, went and spoke to Craig, calmed her down a bit, and I said, "Do you guys want to join us for a little bit, just so it's not me and Patsy up there?" And she's feels a bit more confident and a bit better about it being up there. We go back upstairs and we're calling out. The light does not flicker once. Now again, dodgy electricals, I can accept that. Doesn't flicker once. We go off and did a bit in the chapel. I don't really think much happened apart from Patsy and Craig were both feeling quite drained. And then Craig and his partner go, "Okay, cool, we're going to go downstairs." So they go off. We're stood there again. And this was, Patsy goes, should we put the equipment away so if something happens we can make a quick getaway? So So I was like, yeah, that's absolutely fine. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to put her in any position that she doesn't feel comfortable, as badly as it affects my footage. But but yeah, we're packing the stuff up. I've got my camera set up on a table, and the light flickers again. Bearing in mind, it's not done it the entire time. Craig and his partner have been up there with us. And then the minute they go away, it happens again. And Craig was like, "Oh yeah, it seems like it's some to Patsy. It seems like there's something toying with you or messing with you a bit." She's got a real thing about being touched. Whenever we go somewhere, she's like, "You don't have permission to touch me. Don't touch me." And she swears that at some point, something like brushed along her ankle or something, as if it was like a hand or fingers doing that. She fucking shit herself and was like, "Oh, I told you not to touch me. You're not supposed to do that." Oh. Which you're on edge in a haunted museum, so that's like a feeling thing. And it's not necessarily that I don't believe her, but there could be a huge psychological element about it. But that was pretty much it. In the end, we only investigated for about 4 or 5 hours because it was a proper fucking Ghost Adventures investigation, I tell you. Although things actually happened. But yeah, we only investigated for about 4 or 5 hours in the end, and we were like, "That's enough. Like, that'll do. Thanks." Like, yeah, fucking just mental. Like the amount of places. I said this to Craig as well. The amount of places we've been to, like the Scary of the Ancient Round, 30s Drive, they're like, "Oh, most haunted fucking house in Britain," rah, and nothing happens. And then we go there, and like, it was some of the best activity we've ever had. And I was honestly like, it feeling like it was intelligent that when Patsy's gone, "Can you do that again, please?" It's such a loud bang that it sets my vibration sensor off that doesn't ever go off. It's the one bit of equipment that's never gone off. And we fucking shit ourselves. I was so confused because I heard the beep go, and I'm looking at my temperature sensor and my air pressure sensor going, which one was that went off? And it took me a couple of seconds to realise that it's actually the vibration sensor on the stairs. And it's just mad. Like, honestly, it's just like, I'd recommend everyone goes there because it's, whether it's the building or whether it's the stuff in it, but it feels like the perfect storm of a haunted location. And Craig's turned around to us going, "Oh yeah, this is a quiet night." Fucking quiet. Like, we're shitting ourselves. But yeah, I would implore anyone to go because in my mind, it's genuinely haunted. Like, yeah, as I say, comparative to a lot of places that claim to be the most haunted in the UK, and we were dubious beforehand because obviously it's like it's a haunted museum and there's a lot of stuff in there, and is it like, oh, is that just to play it up a bit? But my God, like within the first hour, something monumentous happens. Monumentous to me anyway, because we've not had massive amounts of activity like that, but something monumentous happens that makes us go, well, we know there was no one upstairs. We know we can look back on the CCTV and see that nothing falls and hits the deck. My camera's still standing. It hits the ground that hard that it sets my sensor off at the bottom of the stairs, or like the third step. And we were just like, what's just happened? There's a moment of like disbelief where we're just staring at each other going, what? But yeah, questions?
So, sounds like an amazing night. When you went in there, did it feel weird? Did it feel, because I've been to a lot of places, even like 30s Drive I've been to, and the Ramin, where you get in there and it just feels normal. It doesn't feel anything other than normal.
So the longer I've been, the longer I've realised that I've got some sort of mediumistic ability, and the more investigations I've done, there's certain rooms that I could walk into and get a weird feeling immediately. And one of them was, I think one of them was the chapel, and then the other one was the main room downstairs with like the conjuring corner and stuff. And yeah, it was only those two rooms, but yeah, there was definitely like, I think I started feeling sick downstairs, which I'm not sure how relevant that is. And I've not vomited or been sick to the point of vomiting the last 6 years I've been with Patsy. So it's probably not like the Chinese food we had beforehand. It was like potentially something paranormal. And then like we were talking to him and he was like, oh, just a tip. Like, to be fair, there was a lot of stuff in there that also Craig didn't actually tell us the history of, because he's like, I just want to, if you guys don't want to know, I'll see what you get. And at one point he did go on the staircase. Stair number 3 and 6 seemed to be the most active for like REM pods and whatever else. And I was like, well, someone's blatantly fallen down the stairs then. And he was like, yeah. And all of a sudden I was like, so is it young girl, blonde hair, probably about halfway down her back? And he's like, yeah, pretty much. I was like, okay. But yeah, those were the only two areas that I walked into and instantly sort of thought, this feels a bit dodgy, were the main downstairs room and the chapel area upstairs. But that might be more of a me thing rather than there wasn't anything that I walked into and went, I feel weird because they've done this up like a scene from The Conjuring, or there's a bunch of kids' toys in there, or there's like a replica of the Anguished Man painting on the stairs and stuff like that, you know? Yeah, mate. But you know what I mean? It wasn't like the aesthetic may have amplified it, but it wasn't entirely that I was like, oh, this is what's making it scary.
Cool.
So when's the video out for that
one? Unfortunately, we also stayed in a haunted apartment while we were up in York, so I'm doing that video first, which will be this Friday, and then it'll be in 2 weeks' time. But I was in two minds whether I wanted to play the mysterious big it up card on here and be like, oh, something happened, it was brilliant, but I'm not going to tell you. But now I've told you, I will send the people on this podcast the clip afterwards of the huge bang.
Mike, how did you find out about this hotel?
He's only really got a Facebook page, and that's where I saw it. I remember hearing about it a while back, and I can't remember why. And then I remember seeing clips on Most Haunted, and it was of on This Morning, and it was of his doll sort of falling out of a chair and stuff. And I was like, fucking whatever. Everyone and their mum's got a haunted doll, haven't they? So I was like, nah, whatever. And then, as I say, we were looking for a ghost hunt to do sort of at the end of our holiday. And on the drive back down, so the museum's in Stoke-on-Trent. And I'd sort of mentioned about doing a trip up to Stoke, and this will be a nice segue into the next section, a trip up to Stoke to go Haunted Museum, maybe Four Crosses, Cannock Chase. And I'd mentioned it a while back, and Patsy was like, oh, I don't want to go to fucking Stoke-on-Trent. I was like, okay, whatever.
Don't know why anyone would want to go to
Stoke-on-Trent, because they've got a wicked haunted museum, Nash.
Birthplace of Robbie Williams.
Oh, really? Even less reason to go then. But yeah, and then, as I say, we were looking for a ghost hunt, and Patsy was like, should we do it? Should we just go there? And before I know it, she's on the phone to the bloke and going, right, he can fit us in on the Thursday after we come back down. It's this much. Should we just do it? And I was like, yeah, fuck it. Let's just go for it. So we did. Coincidentally, it was her 30th birthday as well, so...
Nice. Scare her senseless. Patsy. Yeah, happy birthday, Patsy.
To be fair, we went to a zoo for her as well, so back to the big cats escaping.
You should have gone to one good thing in Stoke. I'm not sure if it's Stoke, but it's Trentham Monkey Forest or Monkey Village in Stoke, or just outside Stoke. And it's basically a park, but it's like a forest, but all the monkeys are out, and you just walk among them.
Oh, wow.
And stuff. So it's like
that sounds quite horrific.
I can't remember what type of monkeys they are.
Planet of the Apes.
But yeah, Trentham Monkey Village is called.
Till they start working out hierarchy and start pulling your arms off and that.
Caving your head in with a rock or something.
I'm showing my age now, but I went to Trentham Gardens to see the Charlatans in about 1992.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
We were literally only
No,
there.
it's not showing your age. I was 15 then.
We were only in Stoke for the Haunted Museum, though, so it was literally like travel lodge, Haunted Museum, get some sleep, leave the next morning. Yeah, we weren't staying there.
Barbary macaques.
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 Monkeys. You've just
So if
invented a new monkey.
For a paranormal podcast, there's a lot of animal talk on this one, isn't there?
It's a menagerie.
we're not even getting the names right. Ash is our current David Attenborough.
Macaque. That's how it's spelled, anyway.
And here we have the Barbary macaque.
It's amazing what the heat does to you, isn't it? So you said that Higgy Pop said that it's the 6th most haunted place in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all the places you've been to, where would you rate that?
Easily number 1 or 2. The only contender in terms of like monumental activity that's made me question my life was Health Hydro in Swindon when the door slammed on us, and even that we haven't actually got on camera. So I'm a bit like, I can kind of debunk that one a little bit. Whereas this one, we've got CCTV of the room the noise happens in. We've got the 2 CCTV cameras of me and Patsy, and then the room, and then I've got my camera on the table that picks it up as well. And yeah, it was just one of those moments that I was just like, I literally can't explain that. Like,
have you thought about putting the footage like next to each other, the 2 clips at the same time, so you can hear Patsy?
That is a great idea, and I will do that for the main video.
Just saying.
But yeah, we were so impressed. We're already kind of looking at rebooking and going back. And like, I know he's, not to keep banging on and plug the museum, but I know he's got a sale on to the 31st of May. So I'm like, let's see how much money I get paid and see if I can afford to rebook it.
So this podcast seems to have been sponsored by
advertising venues, yeah. But yeah,
sale now on is pushing it. Like, come on. I know Ash pushes his UFO conference a lot.
I'm not even associated with him. But yeah, like I would implore anyone to go for somewhere that, in my opinion, is genuinely haunted, rather than paying 75 quid to go to the Ancient Ram and watch a man push a table around.
Does the man come with the experience?
Unfortunately, yes.
So weirdly, just on the Ancient Ram Inn, I don't know what's happening there at the moment, but I saw an advert for them on social media, and they were advertising like walk around tours, which is cool. And they actually were doing, you could go on this ghost hunt tour thing, and you only had to make a small donation. So I don't know if they're struggling to get people to go there or not. I don't know. But
there was an article recently where Caroline came out and said that due to lockdown and when they didn't make any money, I don't want to say they're struggling financially, but that hit them quite hard, and that's why they started focusing on private groups more rather than having because the only public events you can do there now is actually with
her, isn't it?
Her via the Ancient Ram website, because I don't think I know she put the price up quite high for places like haunted happenings and haunted houses events, to the point that they were like, well, it's not worth doing. But also due to the cost of how old it is and the renovation work and all that sort of stuff, that's why she's trying to find other ways to monetize it, I believe.
It's a rickety old place.
It is.
It really is. It is. It is a creepy place. It is creepy.
Yeah.
But like we mentioned, we done a podcast the other day, came out late last week, and we discussed the fact that that venue has got CCTV, and considering how haunted it is, supposedly, that not much footage comes out of there. There's been some really good photos of like mist at the bottom of the stairs, a la 30s Drive style, but not a great deal else. I mean, I've had some weird experiences there, I won't lie, but nothing caught on tape, nothing that you could say definitely haunted, because
And
it's such a strange old place.
I don't want to cast aspersions, but it seems like there was a post that they put out, and this was just after we'd been in it. It kind of left a sour taste in our mouth, to be honest with you. But there was a post that they put out on Facebook, and it was all like, "Come and see if you can tip my table." And I'm like, "Are you trying to turn this into more of like a circus acty sort of?"
I think the challenge
what I
is,
mean?
yeah, I think the challenge probably is that some of these venues around the UK, particularly, they're up against like the Ghost Adventures type experience that people want to have during the night.
Yeah, and I get it. Like,
yeah,
I'm not like the target audience necessarily for a public ghost hunt, because I want to go in and set equipment up and film stuff and see what happens, rather than go and do the human pendulum and go fucking, what was that, and shit myself at a cat ball going off or something, you know?
Yeah. So I think those kind of venues now are up against it, with the likes of this museum, by the sounds of it, other haunted hotels in the UK.
Other hotels are available.
Yeah. Not mentioning any names, but some of these traditional haunted locations, Ramin, 30s Drive, of like
Ye Old King's Head.
Ye Old King's Head. Yeah, very
And
smart.
The thing is, as well, the actual reports of hauntings from the ancient Ramin 30s Drive happened years ago. So it's like, are they still haunted now? Like, we know nothing about the subject, but could it have moved on? Like,
yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, 30s Drive's an interesting one. I've been there, and it is a strange old place, and some weird things happen, but nothing that you could put your finger on and say that's haunted. Sat in a lone vigil in the living room on my own, and nothing happened.
It was the same with us. Like, we went and some minor things happened, but it wasn't anything monumental that is that big that it confuses you and go, you immediately rack your brain and go, what the fuck was that?
About you, Michaela, have you been to 30s Drive or Ramin?
I haven't. I did want to go, but then the last few times that I've heard people have gone there, I've not heard really good things about it. That it's just been quite flat, and I don't know whether sometimes maybe places get overhyped. Or maybe it's just that too many people go there, and it just gets, I don't know, the life or the paranormal energy sucked out of it, maybe.
Which is very viable, but how many times can you say, oh, it's just a quiet night because the energy's been drained? Like, it could be every night's a fucking quiet night because the energy's been drained. You know what I mean? And it's like, really?
Yeah. I think, it's interesting to see how, if there's any other new locations sort of come up, but they're pricing people out quite a lot. For example, you want to go to Oxford Castle, that's expensive. If you want to hire Oxford Castle, you're talking a lot of money, and that is a great place.
Shepton Mallet Prison is something like $1,200 for events companies to hire.
That's mad.
And it's like, it's a great location, don't get me wrong. Like, investigating a prison's like unique, but you imagine if you're a small paranormal group, you're never doing it. Never in a million years. No,
and you've got to then do it as part of a public thing, so it becomes affordable for you.
Yeah,
and then you
have to deal with the public.
Yeah, and you don't know who's on there. Well, that it's not as controlled as it probably would be if we went somewhere. So
yeah, absolutely. Anyway,
Cannock Chase, Stoke on Trent area. I don't know.
Yeah,
Cannock.
not far.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
far.
I'm not very good with
Ash,
directions.
our man in the north. Where's
It's Stafford more than Stoke, but it's
I was going to say it's more
Stoke.
Stafford. I thought it was Stafford.
Yeah, Staffordshire. Yeah.
So Cannock Chase. So Cannock Chase is a place that me and Ash have been. We first met in public for the first time. Well, first met for the first not just in public, but we met for the first time. We
Nearly
met
3
for
years ago. That now.
Yeah, met for the first time at Cannock Chase, and we had Abigail with us from UFO Identified. Me, you, Jamie was there, wasn't he?
Yeah, in the background somewhere.
Yeah.
Loitering
And-
around.
Yeah, and we went out to try and find any kind of wild man, any kind of paranormal activity in the woods. Hell of a place there. I'd never been anywhere like it in my life, but it's one of those places that the history of it is even more bizarre, and like all the types of creatures and things, as Michaela held up the book with Pigman and Black-Eyed Children, UFOs. I can't read what else it says on there.
Werewolves.
UFOs,
yeah.
ghosts.
Everything.
So why do you think then, Michaela, that kind of area has such a rich and diverse amount of paranormal, UFO, cryptid related activity?
Well, it could be one of several reasons. It could be that everybody's just seeing things because they're all terrified of being in the forest at night.
Yeah.
It could be that they're mistaking things. It could be they're hoaxing or completely lying or winding themselves up. Or it could be, on the off chance, that maybe there's a paranormal portal there and everything's coming through. Because there's such a wide variety of things that have been supposedly reported. I mean, literally, basically anything you can think of that's paranormal seems to have been reported there. I know we were talking about menageries earlier, but it is a bit like a paranormal menagerie, is Cannock Chase. So either it's absolute rubbish or there's something very, very weird going on there.
I think if there's multiple reports over the years of similar type creatures or experiences people are having, there has to be something there, I'd have thought.
I
But
don't know what Ash has just found, but it's tickled him.
Oh my god! So you just said the word menagerie.
Ash sort of mouthed the word menagerie.
And I don't know what that word is, so just Google menagerie.
not menage a
You didn't
trois.
look up menage a trois, did you?
No, it's come up. So put in menagerie, and it's got Urban Dictionary.
Oh,
Go
dear.
on.
Of I don't even understand this. Of or pertaining to an ass the size of that of female hip hop artist Nicki Minaj.
Sure,
Or
why
the
not?
traditional definition, which is loads of animals of different sorts.
It's in the chat, Ash.
That sounds more realistic of what a menagerie is.
I spell it with an I instead of an E.
So yes, there is a menagerie of paranormal activity, and it's been a breeding ground for like wild men of the UK, Pigman, Black-Eyed Children.
Yeah.
And when we went there, we went to a place just down the road as part of Cannock Chase called Castle Ring.
Yes.
Wow, that place is weird.
Did you actually see or hear anything while you were there?
We done the Estes method in the middle of it.
In Castle Ring.
And yes, Ash said, well, I asked the question, can you name a member of the group? And
I thought you were going to do a pop question.
and Ash was all covered up and headphoned up. And as soon as I said it, he goes, Abby.
Ooh.
And on the video when we watch it back, she walks past me as you say, can you name anyone in this group? Abby walks past me, and I hear Abby, so I just say Abby. And in the video, she like spins around like on a heel, like what the fuck?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then we were doing a lot of questioning, and it was getting dark at this point. It was quite creepy there when it was dark. And it was a bit misty and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I don't really. You're probably better off explaining it, Ash, because I can't remember the finer details. But Ash, we were talking about people and such like, and a name come through.
Yeah, Nathaniel.
And Nathaniel. Yeah. Now we've interviewed somebody called Nathaniel, who's like a demonologist and studies all of that. And Nathaniel's name come through. But what happened after that, Ash?
So I said, I heard the name Nathaniel come through, which is quite an unusual name. It's obviously more Nathan, whatever. You don't really hear Nathaniel. So I'll say Nathaniel. And when I'm not sure you've done the S's method, Michaela, but like when you're there, when you've got the headphones on, you're basically sort of shut off to the world.
I
and
find it really creepy, actually.
It is quite hard. You're just trying to tune into the words. You're not thinking about anything else apart from trying to like hear the words, and you're not sort of associating them with anything. So I say the name Nathaniel, and then I picture in my mind Nathaniel Gillis, who's the guy that we interviewed not long before. And then a voice came through again saying, "That's not me. I'm not him."
Oh, wow.
Came through as if like, so obviously it's conjecture, but it's like I was thinking of this other Nathaniel, and the voice has said, "That's not me. I'm not him." It knew I was thinking about a different Nathaniel. If this was someone that was called Nathaniel that had come through, the thing. But what sort of made me uncomfortable doing that was there was a man's voice and a woman's voice, and they kept coming through constantly. So it's like when you're doing this, like listening to the spirit box going through the sort of the radio stations, the frequencies, you can hear sort of the same voice again, like a certain amount of time later. But this man's voice and this woman's voice were coming through quite constantly, and it kept getting to the point where it was like this male was becoming violent to the female, and it felt like I was not really hearing the words, but like the voice or the tone was like he was attacking the woman. It's at that point I was like, no, I'm done. I didn't want to hear. I didn't want to hear anymore. It's like I was hearing a woman being attacked by a sound. It was really, really weird. So I was like, nope, I'm done. I'm not listening anymore. I wish I did, because I was like, felt like I was getting something, but I was like, no, I'm not. I don't want to listen to this. It was really, really freaky.
And then shortly after that, we just packed up and were like,
so it went deathly quiet, didn't it? It just
it went super quiet.
Like no animal noises, no birds, no insects. It just went like silent, like absolutely silent. It was like, okay, this is weird.
It was weird.
Do you know if there's any history of like murders taking place in Cannock Chase, or specifically in that area at
Castle Ring is a Celtic hill fort.
So yes, then
back to 500 BC, and it's believed that the Celtic tribes. I'm reading this off.
Yeah.
The Celtic tribe known as the Cornevi, they used to call it home, are believed to perform satanic rituals and blood sacrifices on the hill, which is where we were stood, like on the hill, which is like a mound, and it's surrounded by like a.
No, is that actual satanic rituals though, or is that paganistic rituals that the church deems satanic? You know what I mean? I.e., it's not Christian, so therefore it's satanic.
I wouldn't be surprised if everything's been done there, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it is,
I mean, if it's got that much history.
Area. Yeah, I mean, the Romans invaded and conquered just around that area. There's a German cemetery there as well, with lots of kind of unnamed soldiers that had crashed and in aeroplanes, and they kind of collected them all up and made a cemetery for them. And I think I'm just trying to find in this book, I'm sure there are some murders as well. There are hitchhikers that have been seen. I mean, just the amount of
So
besides all the kind of really weird stuff like werewolves and pigmen, loads and loads and loads of paranormal kind of ghostly haunting type
there's
things.
a lot of psychogeography on the land, right?
Yeah,
Where over centuries, I guess, tons of things have happened,
yeah,
Yeah, unrelated, but
and it's scarred the earth.
yeah.
and it is a strange place when that night comes down, and it was particularly weird because it obviously we were out all day, and we were at Castle Ring at night, and like the sun was going down. It was quite a nice afternoon, and then when it all just went deathly quiet, and it was not long after Ash had done it like this Estes method thing, and I was just like, "This don't feel good here." I was like, just felt weird. So
Yeah.
we all like, yeah, let's
Right.
just
I'm a bit
go.
worried about that because when um the group that I'm with and I are going in the next week, and I'm actually quite nervous. And I insisted that we get a proper campsite because the others were all for just taking a tent into the middle of the woods and camping there. And I
Wow.
was like, I don't think I want to do that because if I get absolutely terrified, I want to be able to run away to somewhere. I don't want to be stuck there. I just have like Blair Witch images in my head.
It's
Because
very Blair Witchy in there,
yeah, and it's
definitely.
massive, absolutely massive. And also, you can get like online. There are paranormal maps of Cannock Chase, and basically every single bit of Cannock Chase almost has got you must go here because this has been seen here, and you can do a trail that would probably take you, 8 hours if you were going to do it round all the paranormal areas. Um, in fact, there's a video that I found online of this guy who takes you round all the haunted areas. And it's a daytime thing, and there's nothing spooky happens, but it's really interesting to see all the places. And of course, with us only being there a few hours, we're only going to be able to see a few things. But I must admit that I do have a fear of being in the middle of the woods, something really scary happening, and then us not being able to find our way out. I am a bit anxious about that, I have to say.
I mean, Danny Moss and them on was it on Haunted Hunts have done it,
Oh, you've done it.
and
Ring the bell.
no,
Ring the bell, guys.
Beep beep.
only because I'm not going to mention the other place, but only because they did an episode. I think it was Haunted Hunts where I broke my own rule of not mentioning them in this episode. They did an episode where it's the four of them, and they didn't know where they were going beforehand. And they just each dropped off in one part of Cannock Chase on their own, and then the guy was sort of organised or left them to it. And they just had to be on their own doing lone vigils in a part of Cannock Chase, like miles away from each other, like the four people that are doing it. And that's an incredible episode. And I mean, obviously these are seasoned investigators, and they're terrified. I mean, just being at night is scary, but on your own, where literally could be anything
Yeah,
near you.
it's the cracking of the twigs in the dark.
Yeah.
I mean, your mind just goes mad. And, I'd be all right. Being, I could probably cope with being left in a haunted house by myself for an hour. I'm not sure I could cope with being in a forest like that by myself for an hour. I think I've just got a real thing about it. I think it's all to do with Blair Witch.
I mean,
Yeah.
out of all the sort of things that have been reported and seen there, I mean, I think black eyed kids have got to be the one you wouldn't want to. Obviously, that would call across werewolf, but
Well, yeah.
a black eyed kid, or just imagine seeing like a child and then just completely black eyes and
Yeah, and
vacant look
apparently it's
stuff.
been seen quite a lot, actually. In fact, other members of my group, that's what they're hoping to see. I just hope I'm not
Of
with them
course.
when they see it.
How would that work though? Because I thought the stories of black-eyed children would be that they would approach your house and ask to come in, right?
Yeah.
So how would that work in somewhere that you're not in a house? They come to your tent and be like, "Can we pop in your
Oh
tent?"
my god, I'm getting goosebumps.
They've just been seen in the woods, apparently.
Jeez.
And there's that famous drone footage, isn't there, of the black-eyed girl. Some people were doing some drone filming and around the periphery of the forest during the day, they caught this, if it is genuine, absolutely incredible footage of a ghostly girl with black eyes. And you can see her, she's flicking her hair and kind of moving her arms around, but she's see through, and it's really quite terrifying. If you search for it on the internet, it's fascinating because you kind of want it to be real, because if it is, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And I think I'd be quite disappointed if it was a hoax.
Definitely.
And there've been apparently UFOs seen there, and abductees. People have been abducted from the forests whilst out on dog walks and things, and you name it, it's happened there.
Yeah, creepy place. Creepy place. So yes, so you're going to be going there soon, Michaela. So you'll have to.
And I
so
hope
on the next,
I come back okay.
yeah. Well, if you don't, we'll just have to interview for somebody to come on and take your place on the round table. But hopefully next month you'll be able to be back and let us know.
If I go missing, I charge you three with the task of coming to seek me out.
You've got no chance, Michaela.
So, thank you for that. Cannock Chase is a spooky place, and it's nice that we've got something like that in the UK. It's got such a rich and diverse sort of menagerie of paranormal activity.
It's been a very Stoke-centric episode, really, isn't it?
It has.
Yeah.
It has.
And we didn't go near Chester once, hardly.
Yeah.
No, we didn't. We didn't. Only a couple of brief mentions. Only a brief mention. So, we're going to put up a couple of photos that go along with the end of this podcast episode that Mike shared for discussion on the podcast, that were taken from.
So my boss at work does astrophotography, which is basically he photographs space.
Yep,
and he's got some incredible photos of like nebulas and stuff like that. And he came in this morning and he was like, "Take a look at this," because he knows, although he really doesn't care, he knows I'm into ghosts and weird shit. He was like, "Take a look at this," and I was like, "What do you think it could be?" And he was like, "It could be a slug going across the lens, but it's three photos with about a 30-second exposure time, so it's over a minute and a half." And he was like, "And the camera's only small, so a slug would probably get over it quicker than that." He asked his sort of astrophotography group if they've had anything similar, and a lot of them sort of jokingly came back and went, "It's space snakes." And one person did say that they've had something similar, which was a rat's tail, but you wouldn't have thought that a rat would slowly move across the camera over a minute and a half. It'll probably scurry over it quite quickly. So, not saying it's paranormal or anything, whatever, but they are some interesting photos of a weird sort of black mist, I guess, slowly traveling across frame by frame.
So my thought on it when I first saw it, because I do and have done some long exposure night photographs.
Yeah.
30 seconds is probably the longest I would do. It's normally about 15 to 20 seconds. Maybe not even that, because of the way the Earth, the stars move. After about 15, 20 seconds, you start to get blur from the stars moving because of the rotation of the Earth, which you wouldn't have thought after 20 seconds you would do, but you do.
It's mad, isn't it? Like, you just look through like binocular telescope, you just see the stars like disappear. It's like,
it looks crazy as well when you see a video of it. And
the moon goes flying past.
Yeah, you see like he's always on about Polaris because that never moves, but like
correct.
You see Polaris and then you see everything like moving around it as the night goes on. It's like, wow.
I've got a Star Trail video, like a 5-second video, because Polaris is literally just over that way. So I just set it up at Polaris. That's the North Star to people as well, and that doesn't move. That's there in the sky every night, day, as well. It's there in the day, it doesn't just come out at night. But it's there all the time in that spot, and everywhere else moves around it. So I've got long exposure photos. I've taken 199 photos of the whole of the...
And you see
Earth spinning.
the swirl, don't you, of where the stars have moved.
So my thought on those photographs is that it's potentially, and I'm not saying it is, because it's, who knows, but it looks like it's maybe, I want to say a moth, but just where it's moved enough to be captured on the photograph.
Yeah.
Because if I take an 8-second photo of an 8-second long exposure of Starlink or the ISS going over, it goes into quite a streak.
Mhm.
So that was my only thought, was it could be a slow moving flying bug, but it does look weird. I don't know what but that was my first thought.
Yeah.
Just on the long exposure, but that I don't know how it would have flown to become that slow across.
And this is the thing, right? It's very highly likely that there's nothing paranormal about it. It's just something very natural happening, but it is just something to look at and something to think about. And
definitely.
Come up with your own idea.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting photos, though. Definitely. I liked seeing them. I haven't seen photos like that, personally.
I'll see if I could, if you're into it.
I was just trying to find them.
Totally off topic. If you're into it, Greg, I'll see if I can get him to send me some more and show you those as well. Because he's got some wicked photos.
Yeah, I love all that.
Whereabouts are the photos?
They're in the group. If you scroll up a little bit.
In the messenger group?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
So, I mean, like I say, it is weird. I've not seen... It's like my first thought was like hair or something. I don't know. He made it thinner. Like it's like a bit of a wavy strand of hair or something. But with the time lapse, and why would it be thicker unless that's motion blur making it thicker?
Wow, yeah. Biological creature. It's one of those,
It's weird.
Sky worms, but a massive one.
Yeah, interesting photo though.
Yeah.
It almost looks like it remains that sort of length all the way across the 3 photos. So it's either moving at the same speed or it's stationary and that is the length of it. That makes sense.
Yeah,
and
it's moving.
If it was a slug or something, it would have left a trail on the lens.
It's exactly what I said. I was like, if it was a slug, it would leave like a slime trail that you'd probably be able to see, right?
That's fascinating.
Yeah. Is that like a fisheye lens? I'm trying to figure out the lens.
Yeah, I believe so. Let me...
It's
in a waterproof... Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is like a fisheye lens. It certainly looks like it, right?
It looks like, it looks like a 360 kind of a view.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Yeah.
Does this camera, do you know, rotate with the Earth?
I don't...
Or is it very stationary?
I don't believe so. I believe it sits stationary, and then you can... Because I say, he showed me videos of it, and you can see like the stars moving around as the video goes on. So it's almost as if like the camera's stationary, and then it just sort of captures. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about it, to be honest with you. He should just show me this morning. I was like, those are interesting. I'm on a podcast tonight. We'll discuss that.
It's interesting how it kind of fades out at the end. But there's much more definition in the middle.
Yeah.
But that could be where, like, due to the long exposure time and where it's moving, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the faster it's moving, the less you'd see of it.
Yeah.
It's like taking like a panoramic view on an iPhone. If you can capture something moving at the same speed, and it looks like an elongated dog. Or
yeah.
Interesting photo. I like that. If anybody's got any thoughts when they have a view of the view of the photo, whilst listening to the audio of the podcast, let us know. See what you think. That'd be interesting to see what other people think of it, especially if people were into astrophotography as well. They might have come across stuff like this before, and like long exposure film. Cool.
Any kind of time lapse, really.
Yeah. Definitely.
Before we go, I've got something to. I'm I'm going to send some photos to you, and I'm going to be mysterious now.
Always the best way.
And I'm just going to. Shall I put them on the Facebook page? I don't want to say. I'm going to be secretive, so we can draw thousands of people to the Facebook page, wondering what on earth I'm talking about. But I've got some pictures of my arm.
Oh,
And
yes.
Yes.
I want to see if anybody has a theory about
Have I missed
what
something?
it could be. You might have, yeah.
Yeah, I think you might have. You're not Michaela's Paranormal or what?
Am I not
Chat.
cool enough? For fuck's sake.
I don't know. I'm in loads of these chats now, and I don't know.
No, you are. I'm not cool enough. Oh, sorry, I'm not on that chat even.
No, it's probably absolutely nothing. But I thought it's an odd thing that's been puzzling me. So I went away on a residential with my class to a very old spooky place near to where I live here. And we're in these kind of old dormitories, and apparently the building's been there originally. It's been there since the 1600s, although the new wing that I stayed on with the children has been there since the 1800s. And we were doing all sorts of outdoor activities, but I absolutely know for a total fact that I didn't hurt my arm in any way. So I went to bed, and I woke up the next morning, and I don't know if you can see them here, but I've got bruises all down my arms. You probably can't see them very well.
Yeah, I can see that one.
Like a V.
Yeah, it's like a V shape, and then there's another one down here, and they're like fingerprints, like if somebody's grabbed you really hard on your arm, and they're very definite. I'll put the photos up, and then on the other arm, I had this V-shaped sort of sign of purple pinprick bruises, very, very tiny and precise in very straight lines, pinpricks. Now, this has happened to me before, and I always put it up on my Facebook page and go, "Oh, this is weird. These turned up last night. What do you think of this?" But this time, it kind of really puzzled me, because I thought, what on earth? And they've just got darker and darker all week, and the darker they've got, now that they've gone green and blue, the more definite the different kind of, I don't know, as it were, fingerprints have become. And then on the other arm, it's almost like a sign that someone's drawn in my arm. And it's really bizarre. Now, I'm not claiming that I've been, taken by aliens or something like that. But I did wonder whether it could be something paranormal, because we did have activity at the place, of which I told the children there was none, and don't be silly and go to sleep. But there was activity there that night, and I just thought, that's really interesting. So I'll put the photos up and see if anybody's got any interesting theories about it.
Yeah, Mike, I've just invited you to Michaela's page as well, so you
thank
can
you.
see it on. So,
Yeah, weird.
Yeah.
It is weird, because you look at them when you get up in the morning and go, I literally haven't done anything. How have I got this? If I was going to bang my arm in the middle of the night, I've done it very specifically somehow.
And on both arms as well.
Yeah, it's very strange and
gone wild.
mysterious.
Cool. Well, thank you for that, Michaela. And anybody listening, have a little look and see what your thoughts are. But I would like to thank you all for a wonderful episode again, as we are coming to the close of the episode, I think. So we're now an hour and a half in.
Yeah, sorry about that blip where I lost everything.
It's all right. It's all right. It'll be seamless, and people will get to this and go, "Oh, what bit was that?"
What blip was that? Because Ash and Greg have done such a good job. We don't know what you're talking about, Michaela, so I'll be quiet
Exactly. So yeah, we'll get that up later as well. So we're recording this on the night it's going out as well. So this is fresh stuff.
Up to the minute.
Fast and the Furious podcasting.
We're on the pulse. on the pulse. So yeah, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Michaela,
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you for joining us. And we'll be back again next month for another Paranormal Roundtable.
If Michaela doesn't get abducted in Cannock Chase.
Exactly. And the
No,
day
we'll still
after,
do
we're
it.
going up Pendle Hill. Yes, no, but you have to come and find me if I go
We're
missing.
doing Estes method. See if we can find you.
He'll have my
She's-
Yorkshire voice going, I'm over here.
She's in the upside down or some shit.
Yeah, I know what that is as well. I don't know.
I do
I've
just
never really
about.
seen-
I've not seen
yeah,
it, but
yeah,
just about.
yeah.
You
Just about.
haven't seen it?
No,
No,
that's a
I
conversation
haven't.
for another time, though, because we need
Yeah.
to wrap up.
It's
Yeah.
the best programme ever. Anyway, I'm saying no more.
Well, wow, we'll see. That's a discussion for another bloody episode. Right, well, thank you guys, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you
See you
very
next
much. See
time.
you later.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.